doing good. Still messing around a little bit of settings and a little bit of background, but I didn't want to have it completely black. So you'll kind of see like I'm a little bit tight because I'm having some issues with this range of my stuff. But we are gonna finally talk about Nicholas Irving's Reaper Ghost Target. So I've been wanting to read this for a while. I'm kind of a big fan of snipers in pretty much in any branch, whatnot. It's what I always wanted to be when I was a kid. Just other circumstances, I couldn't do any of it like that. So one day I did find out about Nicholas Irving, the Army, the Ranger sniper who is known for his 33 confirmed kills in a single deployment, nicknaming him the Reaper. I haven't read his biography yet. I have to read that and a couple of his other books. However, I did get his Reaper Trilogy, which is the story of Vick Harwood and his lovely adventures throughout the U.S. and other places being a Ranger sniper. So, finally got these. Finally started reading them. I'm actually about 2/3 of the way through the second book already by the time I'm making this. First, I will say aesthetically, whoever published this one did not do a great job on printing. It was double printed a lot, so the whole text was pretty much super duper hazy. Obviously not much on the writers and everything for that. That's just kind of more of just a little like nitpick on the publisher and printing. So better than that, it didn't really deter me from reading too much. Overall, it was interesting. I don't know much about AJ Tata, or how you say his last name. I don't know much about him or his writings, and you could probably definitely tell how he was the writer and Irving was more of the technical guy of what needed to be done and said so you could write it properly. I will say my biggest thing was probably like pacing and location, like the time frame of how things are done. It was really hard to follow. Of like in the beginning, it was really easy. Of oh, somebody got hit, he travels. Another person gets hit, he travels. Another person gets hit, he travels. So that was the easy part. After that is when it starts to get really interesting with he like finds some sort of guy who's selling memorabilia out of a rundown house. And then they go to this thing of this warehouse, and then they're on a boat going to an island. It was really hard to figure out like how much time was passing. And I think part of that was intentional. There was some characters who also were having trouble to figure out how much time had passed from another event. If it was like a week or if it was a day or just like 20 hours. But some other things that made it seem like they ran across the street and they were all of a sudden in a warehouse. And then they just like jogged for a block or two and they were at a dock. I couldn't tell if that was accurate on purpose or if that was just a pacing issue. That's probably my biggest gripe is pretty much like the pacing of how everything is like supposed to work, where everybody's supposed to be at, where everything is located, because I don't know if it's written after real life locations or if it was just made up places in a real life location. Like there's one scene in the warehouse where there's cops that are searching the whole area for where they're at, and they find, a Mustang shot up by a machine gun, and the characters exit another warehouse in the district and can see all the cops. But there's like a dozen plus cops that are in the area searching for them, and nobody sees them exit a warehouse that's like within visual distance. So that's kind of my only big like issue is figuring out like where they were, like how long were certain things taking. It kind of did take me out like, oh wait, they're here, they're doing this, like did they get there that quickly? Would it take that long? Those are the only things that had me like questioning some stuff. Otherwise, it was, pretty interesting reading. You can definitely tell probably some of this was Irving's, thoughts, ideas, and I don't want to say like fantasies, but, daydreams of what some things would be in his life or another life type of thing. So that will say is kind of funny. Really, really good twist. I wasn't expecting the Jackie and the Murrow twist at the end uh, with everything and what his girlfriend or whatever you want to call her was involved in. Um, but again, another soldier making a pretty boisterous statement about politicians and corruption and all that stuff, very similar to Terminal List, making a list, taking people off that list, all that fun stuff. So, uh, overall, for the first book, it's pretty solid. I will give it a nice solid rating. Um, Second book is going much faster. Like I said, I'm like right around page 200 out of 300. They're relatively short books for me, so they don't take me too long to read, reading about 50 pages a day, just, in between everything I have going on. I set it aside about half an hour, read 50 pages. So these don't take me very long at all. When I have extra free time, I read a little bit more when I can. So there are some days I get through like 100 or 150 when I can. So, but in the next couple of days, we'll probably finish the second book and we'll roll right into the third book. But preemptively, second book, printing is much nicer, much easier to read, not so much crammed on a page, as well as pacing and storing are phenomenally better so far. So I will leave that there, but absolutely check out Nicholas Irving. His story is very interesting and very good. I have enjoyed following it and learning about him and learning about everything that he's done. And definitely give these a try, as well as check out his book simply titled The Reaper by Nicholas Irving, which is more of his biography and telling some of his stories and events that happened to him on deployment. So, sorry about that. I smacked my mic. But for now, check out everything down below. I will see everybody in part 2 for the second book, and then we'll roll right into the third one right after that. So, adios, and have a good one.